Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. Okay, so this is my first video, and I wanted to basically take you through the journey of my redstone improvements that I've made recently in this Minecraft world, and then eventually we'll apply this to my survival server, which I will give you a tour on at some point. Okay, now the update. The update is 1.21. That's what we are on at the moment, and yeah. So the update added auto crafting, and it added the copper bulb. I used those extensively in this world. So I have always had a fascination with redstone. I've always been, keen to be learning more about redstone, but I never really gave it a proper try until this world. So this world is where I kind of stopped just playing with redstone and actually started learning the mechanics, how everything works, and yeah, the small intricacies that can make redstone usable and faster in a world. And so with the 1.21 update rolling out, this is what I've been able to achieve in pretty much just the first few days. So let me take you to the very start. So in my survival world, I added the data pack earlier, and so I made a bunch of tileable auto crafting designs that had their flaws, and I wanted a way to fix those problems. And so one of the main problems was when items overcrowd the crafter, it wasn't able to craft anymore. And that's due to the comparator output signal. And so if we take some bamboo, I'll show you how this works. Okay, here we go. So we have our auto crafter spitting out blocks at a regular pace, and it's fully filled. Now, how I did this was a full crafter gives a redstone signal of 9, and so with a exact same signal of 9 going into it from this crafter, it should only be able to send a redstone signal through this torch at when this is exactly full, so at a signal of 9. And so we wanted to be able to craft things basically all the time. And so the way I solved that is by having a very small redstone clock, which gets turned on and off by this torch. So it's on at the moment because this torch is off, which means this is powering the auto crafter, which means we're getting items in here. And so there is a problem with this. While it is fast due to it being fed into by 3 hoppers, it's not precise. So recipes like a beacon, this is crafted with, so it goes in the order of a auto crafter. It goes 4 glass, another SAR, glass, and then 3 obsidian. Now when you're feeding items through hoppers into a crafter, there's no real way in this setup to choose which slot an item goes into. And obviously all 3 hoppers would be trying to put the exact same amount of items in at the same time, which for a more complex crafting recipe isn't ideal. Now, my solution to this was this. This was my first real attempt of making a 9-slot auto crafter, and this actually works. Now, the way this works is in alternating pulses, so it goes from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. It basically dispenses an item, or it drops an item out of these droppers into these hoppers, and then they should filter in time into this, and as we can see, it has been working. And this works on a simple clock design. This was just me testing the speed. So this was actually a newer design I came up with for a redstone clock. This was the level I was on at the start of this project. And so from there we had this. Now this has its problems, and it is very large in terms of like messy redstone. And so I tried to make a vertical version, but this had problems as it was not very accurate. That's due to the randomness of droppers and the direction that they shoot in. And also I was getting some double powering problems to where a piston was being bud powered and not unbud powering when I wanted it to. And so I swapped to this kind of shorter version. This does work, but it's not 100% accurate, which is a problem. I think it's probably around like 95% accurate, but I think the problem with it is that due to the randomness of the droppers, not all the items reach the hopper at the exact moment that I want them to, and so it does break the crafting a little bit to where it puts items in the wrong crafting slot, basically. Then I went to an observer-based design, and so this was my first design, ignoring these droppers. So it basically was that a redstone pulse goes through this, then the observer detects the change in the state of this comparator, which is changed through the copper bulb. Then it sends a signal perfectly every 2 ticks to these droppers. Now, a problem that I noticed after making this was that they're being double powered, which I guess in itself is not really a big problem, but it's still not ideal for me. Then I made a first prototype using these that I designed. This is the design I found online that I actually end up using for most of these builds. It's a tileable shulker unloader. This is one that I tried designing myself before I realized I might need a tileable one. And so basically an item goes into the, or a shulker box goes into this dropper. Let me see, is this full? It is. A shulker box goes into this dropper. You would dispense it out, and then when this is empty, both the bamboo and the bamboo inside of it will get put into this barrel. Now this is the opposite. This is my design for a shulker box loader. So it takes the output, or the comparator output for this barrel, which is a 14, and then we have a subtracting comparator here that takes the output of this. So when this is 15, it then changes states so that the observer can fire a piston through this, and then it redispenses through the bottom. And then here we have the full shulker boxes. Now using these, I was able to make this initial prototype. So this is a crafter design, and it does work. So basically you'd put the shulker boxes of items in here, so it goes 1 to 9. Then you would turn it off. That's off. Yeah, so that's off. Then this is on. Then it would then dispense all these shulker boxes automatically, empty them. Now, because this design puts both the shulker box and the item in the barrel, I needed to have a unstackable item filter built into here. So this is where all the, ignore those, I put those there. This is where all the shulker boxes end up. Then the items get taken down into these droppers and then dropped perfectly in time to where the auto crafter crafts them, spits them back out, and they get auto sorted in here. And so this has its problems. The main problem is that it's really slow. So if you wanted to do a stack of items in this, it would take like one, if you wanted your output to be 1 shulker box of items, it would be around an hour, no, 2 hours. 2 hours for this one. And that's basically because of the dispensing speed, the filtering speed into the crafter, and yeah, the sorting of items. So that was my main issue. So to this, I upgraded it, and I kind of experimented with a double dropper design, and it would have 2 autocrafters instead of 1. Now this was promising, but I had an issue. Because I'm filtering in items into these barrels one by one, as in they're coming in one by one through a hopper, there's always going to be hopper priority. And so one of the hoppers is always going to take the item and not feed it into the other dropper. So my solution to that was, with the help of YouTube, I managed to integrate this small system. So we have a comparator output of this chest. Let me see if there's any full ones actually. None of these are actually primed. Here we go. So we have one module is one of these pink or magenta systems. So we have one chest with 3 stacks and 53 items. So that's just the limit to a redstone output of 2. I think it's 2 blocks off the limit. And so when one item is put into here, this redstone output doesn't change. But the second one comes in, you'll see right here on the left, another item is taken out. Or another, this item and the other one gets taken out because of this redstone updating, which unlocks these 2 hoppers, which then allows both of the items to be evenly distributed. You'll see those are built like that. So that's the item, and here's the other one. So those are evenly distributed between the droppers, which is pretty much perfect for what I needed them. Now the hoppers I still had to improve. As you can see, they are quite messy. So in the actual design, I actually cleaned them up a lot, and made them a lot less messy. The reason it's so massive is because I needed one of these filters for 9 droppers, and one of these filters is, I think, a 3x2 by 2, and so it's quite big, and so I had to basically stack these layers on top of each other like that. And so from here I felt confident in making a actual working prototype. And so this, let me turn on night vision real quick. This was my first real prototype. I'll give you a small demonstration in a sec. So we have here the splitting system that I mentioned. So all of these are calibrated. Then they go into these droppers. Now I found out, like I said earlier, that the droppers are being double powered, which caused some timing issues. So I added, this could just be a row of blocks. I added note blocks because I thought it was fun. But basically this is so that the observer only puts the redstone signal into this block and then this one as well. So it's only hitting one dropper at a time. And so when this is on, you'll see all of the items get dropped in line like that. Let me grab some items in preparation. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Now from there we have, this is my kind of safety mechanism, this green line. This is that so that the redstone clock automatically turns off when this dispenser is empty. This has its uses. It is quite useful for reducing lag, but isn't really necessary, and I'll show that in a sec. Now this is my majority use for the copper bulb. It is so nice to just have a redstone output from observers. So we have a lot of observer lines for redstone outputs, and just keep redstone lines on and off. So this is my on and off line to keep the redstone clock on and off. So this is timed perfectly to 1 crafter timing. Then down here we have a line that basically gives me control of when I want the shulker box to be given to the player, basically. So once the crafting is done, if this shulker box isn't full, for example, I can then send the signal from up top, and then it automatically brings me the shulker box. Then up here again, we have that same system with the unloader and the unstackable item filters. Then here, break that. Oops, we actually couldn't break that. Oh no. Let's go fix that real quick. Boop. Boop. Okay. Yeah, so we have that. Then one problem that I had with this design is that what if you place the wrong items into these barrels? There's no way to alter it once you place the items in there. So for this, I added this repeater line, which basically locks these hoppers and only starts them when I start the machine. Then we have these observer lines, which basically dispense the items out, and I mean that's pretty much it. Then we have and then we have a bunch of these dropper item elevators, which take the items up. I used them because I wanted a very clean and like non-redstone-y exterior, kind of, because I wanted to decorate it quite nicely. So I used these as, unlike a water stream, you can't really tell that they're there. Okay, let's show you the actual build then. So around this, I built this. I think of it as kind of a cathedral-like build. I watched one of B-Dubs' videos, and he made a beautiful kind of jury hall, I guess you could say. And this was roughly based on that. It uses a lot of the new tough blocks as well. I went through a lot of different versions for the roof, especially. I couldn't get it to look good until this. But yeah, I'm very happy with how this ended up. Compared to my other builds, this at the time was by far the most in-depth and detailed that I went into. Okay, and so entering here, ignore the bunnies, the rabbits, they just spawn here for some reason. Okay, this is kind of the interior that I was going for. So if we use, okay, so using these shaders, this is how I really love to see it, especially at night. Let's set it to night. Okay, so in midnight, I was a very big Harry Potter fan. I really like the movies as well, and so there's a scene in one of the movies where at the dinner table they have all these floating candles, and I wanted to recreate that vibe so badly, and I think it actually turned out quite nice. I think the candles floating look quite good. It's a little bit crowded. I could remove some of these, but I think overall it's a nice addition to this build. Okay, and so swapping back. So with this build, I wanted simplicity. The reason for that is I'm putting this on a server with friends of mine who are not as big of a fan of complicated redstone as I am, and so I wanted it to be simplistic for them and just for me in general, to make it quick and easy to use. So here we have an output chest. I'll show you what that does in a sec. Here we have another barrel that I will explain in a sec. This is the light to show that the machine is working and on. This is the light to show that the machine is done crafting. And this is another machine that basically, let me get down there. This is what I was talking about with the elimination of the need for this. So basically, the reason for this system is so that it doesn't lag the server. But basically, if items don't use a regular crafting recipe that uses the first slot, this is obviously a problem. So, for crafting recipes, for example, like the campfire, I use this quite a lot as an example, it doesn't use the first slot. So this system would then not work. So this extra system is just to show that if this is on, that first slot does not have to be in use anymore. So now that redstone clock could just be on if I wanted it to. There we go. Okay. Then we have, I tried to like hide most of the lighting, the real lighting, so we used carpets and yeah, these trapdoors to basically hide the lanterns that we have down below, like that. And yeah, a bunch more small contraptions. Now let me just get to the big real deal business. Okay, so we have our items. So we're crafting a beacon here. So the first item would be glass, and then it goes 4 glass in order. So if we go back to a beacon, here we go. We've got 4 glass, another star, glass, and then 3 obsidian. So this is 4 glass. Then we go nether star, glass, and then the obsidian. The shulker boxes obviously don't have to be color coded like this. I just use it because it's easier to visualize. So we have the 4 in here, and like I said, they're not being taken out of this barrel, so in case I do make a mistake or I want to alter them a little bit, yeah, it'll be fine. Then this is to show that it's the machine is done or it's ready for use. Now if we flick this note block, we'll see that turns on. That is very bright with shaders. These get taken out. Then if we go down below, you'll see all of the shulker boxes have been dispensed. So in order, it should be blue, blue, yeah, 4 blue, a white, a blue, and then 3 obsidian. Very nice. They then get filtered through these, so you'll see 1, 2, and then they get taken out. Put into these droppers, and then you can hear it already. Let me turn to day. There we go. Now we can see. Here we can see they get dispensed in order. It's very satisfying to look at. And then in here, they also get placed in exact order. And then crafted. And then the crafted autocraft, or the crafted beacons coming out of these 2 autocrafters get put into here. And then once this is finished, it shouldn't take too long, I think. Once this is finished, the items get sent through this hopper line over here, up this item, damn. They get sent up that they get sent up the item elevator. That's what it's called. Very good job. I am Master Redstoner here. Of course. They get sent up here, and this is where the actual items will end up. Now we'll see that those items actually end up there in a sec. Let me speed up time for a bit. Now, for an entire shulker box of items, so an entire output of, oh, there we go, it's done. So the light lights up. I can then flick this lever, and then you should be able to hear pretty soon that this gets sent up. And there we go. Look at that. And we have our stack of autocrafted beacons. Very nice. Now this is where the shulker boxes that we initially input into the system end up. So we had these 9. So the 5 glass, 1 nether star, and the 3 obsidian. And then, so if you want your shulker boxes back, they end up there. Now, obviously, when the system uses an autocrafting cycle, an item or a shulker box actually ends up in this chest. So how do you fill the autocraft or the auto loaders without having to go down all the way. There's this barrel. So this barrel sends the shulker boxes down and then automatically fills that back up. Very cool. Very cool. I am a big fan of this system. It works for probably 95% of all Minecraft items. Now, why 95? Because items like this exist. So the dispenser actually uses an unstackable item in its crafting recipe. And this is a massive problem for these, a key component to keeping the shulker boxes out of the system. And so when you're crafting with a dispenser, for example, you need to use a bow. And so the bow actually gets filtered out as well and sent back up through this item elevator. And that's a problem. So for the moment, I haven't really looked into a solution for that, but I mean, for the majority of items, it works just fine. So I'm pretty happy with that. And yeah, I mean, I have a bunch of other stuff in here to show you. So I designed this shulker box storage system. So this cycles through, I think, 9 different shulker boxes. So this is because I wanted there to be some sort of storage in case you needed anything, but I didn't want it to be super bulky, so we have 2 on each side. I didn't want it to be super bulky and yeah, take up a lot of space in this massive cathedral. Like I said, here's the output. This chest, on the other hand, is also an autocrafter. So what this does is you press this button, gets you 1 auto-crafted shulker box. Press this one, gets you 5. So if you ever were here, you had a ton of items, but no shulker boxes. Here you go. 9 shulker boxes. And now you're probably thinking, how do you reload it? Okay. Well, here you could input both shulker shells and your chests. And then if we go down below, show you the small system that I designed. So there's one side that crafts 5, so that uses a this system, and then one that uses basically just 1 line into the crafter. So this is the 5. It uses the piston into the observer clock, so just like that, and then it crafts the shulker boxes into here. And then the single line is just a comparator into a copper bulb, and so that crafts 1. Now the start of the shulker box kind of changing system is this design. No, this is the end. What am I saying? Is this design. So this was my attempt at, it was a very lousy attempt, but it was my attempt at figuring out a way to get single items. It was literally just experimenting. Like I said, I'm quite new to Redstone, so I wasn't sure how this would work. And all of these versions had their own problems. These shouldn't be lit at the moment, but whatever. Like, for example, this. I wanted it to be 1 item. So my initial design was to use minecart chests. And so this would like send a signal through a minecart chest or whatever, and then you'd get that minecart chest delivered to you. And then I was like, wait, I'm being stupid. I could just create a dropper loop. And so this is the first design that I looked up online, and I found this is really easy to do. I could definitely compact this a lot. And so I did. And here's my version of it. So we have 9 droppers in a loop that then get powered and depowered through the tapping of the snow block, and then the items get broken, taken round, and yeah, that's what I integrated right here. Then I was also like, what if you need to craft? What if you need to craft in here? So we have a 0 tick little crafting bench kind of hidden thing, which I think looks pretty cool, and it works. And yeah, I mean, this was a lot of fun to build, to be fair. The actual outside of the build, I'm also a very big fan of, and at the time, like, definitely the most intricate, best looking building that I designed in this game. And yeah, I mean, like I said, this whole project was to develop my skills as a Minecraft player, and I really enjoyed it. Like, this was a lot of fun to just get into and yeah, do. And I hope you enjoyed it, because if you enjoy it, I enjoy it. Ignore those buildings in the back. I will make videos on those at some point. And yeah, thank you very much for tuning in. It was probably way too long, but I hope the Redstoners and the a little bit of the builders, I guess, could enjoy this video. Thank you very much for watching, and like and subscribe. Do it, please. It'd mean a lot. All right, thank you, and bye.